Professor Babafemi Adesina Badejo has advocated for a confederal system of government to explore the diverse dimensions of interest at all levels. This, he said, will ensure national growth and development. The call was made on 5th July 2023 while delivering the maiden edition of the Inaugural Lecture at the Chrisland University, Abeokuta, Nigeria. The Inaugural Lecture themed Interests expatiates the diverse dimensions of interest at individual, group, state, national and international levels. He explored the subject matter as a powerful tool that is used to drive human actions and shape the course of our world because politics is the essence of interest.
Because as they said, I'm a political scientist. Politics is the essence of interest. I want this, you want that, and we try to get everything managed before we go to the level of regional, before we go to higher levels. All these interests are at play, and since politics is interest, and interests stand how to
The professor of political science and international relations advocated for a strong confederal system of government, which he assured would solve many problems of Nigeria, including corruption. He said this is necessary because it will create a weak center and give more power to the states and other federating units to operate at their own capacity. He opined that this would allow for a strong and healthy competition with every unit managing its resources, like it was in 1963. A confederal arrangement would work and not the idea of restructuring, which is just another gab of deceit. He described our present system of government as militarized because the military stayed in power for too long. He added that militarized mentality affects the way we think through things in like manner from the top to bottom, from the federal to the states and local governments. To come out of this would, therefore, the inaugural lecturer recommended that every federating unit takes charge of its territory so that the idea of waiting for federal allocation will have no place but to work.
It's Nigeria of today that I'm talking about. We have a militaristically centralized federalism. Nothing other than that. Militaristically, because the military stayed in power for so long, and we now see everything like command in the military hierarchy. The president sits in Abuja and dictates all over the place. There are some fight back, but it's not enough. So, if we are to go away from that militaristically centralized, it is not to be saying we need to build a regional entity in the 6 zones, and then you have governor general over the governors. All that is unnecessary waste of money. We should have everybody take charge of what is in their territory and build from that. You will see that those who are just waiting for federal allocation now will have no choice but to work higher.
The erudite professor also used the opportunity to caution those who look up to the developed countries to help resolve our internal problems as a country to desist from such illusion. This, he said, would not work because international entities have their own interests which they tenaciously pursue in international politics to perpetrate their interests, which is first beneficial to them before others' interests. They would rather sabotage and exploit us rather than help because they are out of their own interests. It's part of the game. He therefore called on those with such thinking to jettison the idea and look inward to solve national issues. While commenting about the present government, he said President Tinubu will perform far better than President Buhari, but not in the area of corruption. He said this is so because the objective realities of weak institutions, which are inherent in our system, are beyond President Tinubu. He recommended that to reduce corruption, there is the need to pursue a holistic policy. There is a unified nations anti-corruption strategy that we signed but never implemented. If we can go back to deal with that and build the political will, then we are on the way to reducing corruption, he assured. The university don advocated quality leadership across board in the face of the present leadership deficit. He asserted that competent leadership is necessary in every facet of our life to check corruption, which he said blooms wildly in Nigeria, in the public and private sectors. The Dawn raised hope that corruption can be minimized if we all can be committed to raising new breed who are not corrupt.
It is likely Tinubu will do better, by far better than Buhari. When you look at our institutions today, the objective realities that we face are beyond Tinubu. What happened? Our National Assembly, you remember off the mic? That is what we now have as the leadership of our National Assembly. The Tinubu could not stop that because of the various, and he knows that he cannot stop that. And Tinubu is not making corruption the yardstick of his effort. As Buhari deceived us, Tinubu saw that he's no longer going to sell. So he's not telling us, I'm going to kill corruption because before corruption kills us, as Buhari said to us. That's the point.
Commenting on the event, the Vice-Chancellor of Chrisland University, Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola, FAS, FPSN, described it as a landmark event and commended the intellectual scorecard of the inaugural lecturer. She said the rationale for the introduction of inaugural lecture into the university scheme is basically instituted on the fact that Chrisland University has started raising professors that we can call Chrisland appointed professors, and inaugural lectures are opportunities for professors to tell the world what really makes them professors, she proudly said.
Yeah, there's always a beginning of a thing. As a young institution, we have succeeded in also appointing few professors that you can call Chrisland appointed professors, not professors from other universities. So by the time we started having our own professors, we thought it fit to begin inaugural lecture. Inaugural lectures give opportunity to the inaugural lecturer to tell the world what really makes him or her a professor. And that's what we've done today. Professor Badejo of Political Science and International Relations is the first Chrisland appointed professor. And so we gave him that honor to be the first to give the inaugural lecture in this university.
Professor Peace Babalola further hinted about the lecture as simply establishing a connecting link between interest and corruption, which she said is rooted in ethnic bias, racial discrimination, religious intolerance, and so on, because people have different interests.
Like someone said, this is one inaugural lecture that has one word title: interest. Yes, and he has told us what interest is, from individual to ethnic, national, and even global. And he has linked it to corruption. So people have different interests. The same thing, nations have different interests. Groups and racial groups have different interests. And then globally there are different interests. And again, corruption is linked to interests.
Miss Osawe, 400 level student of Chrisland University, said the lecture enriched her knowledge and prepared her for the task of fighting corruption and bad leadership. She requested that academic exercise of such should always be scheduled to expose young students to the intrigues of academia.
Professor Badejo actually did well. He made us understand the concept of interest in political science. Actually, I would say I learned a lot in the sense that I now fully understand
student Adama James of Criminology toed similar line, commending the lecture as quite rewarding to his discipline. He enjoined all other students to key into the core value of the lecture to ensure their interests were positively driven.
The benefit of this lecture is to enlighten us, this generation, on how to create a good standard of leadership. So, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola of Chrisland University, read out some achievements with the university Professor Badejo Adesina. And according to him, he said that he wanted to lift this generation because he knows that several other generations have failed this one. So it's this lecture that's enlightened us, the youth here, that we can do better in terms of leadership skills, how to make this nation a better place, a peaceful place. So this lecture is basically talking about empowerment of youth, empowerment of the country, giving people a sign that you can achieve more, can do better than the way I was before. Where I might be doing next year might not be the way I'm doing this year. So that's just basically.
The colorful event had so many dignitaries in attendance, including High Chief Dr. Mrs. W.A. Awoshika and other members of the University Board, representatives of Lead City University, Babafemi Adesina University, University of Lagos, students and staff of Chrisland University, and dignitaries from all walks of life who graced the occasion.